Before we get stuck in, a quick word about today's sponsor, Cassie. Here's a question for you. Have you ever thought billboard advertising was way out of your league? Yeah, me too. It turns out it's not. Cassie lets you advertise on 1.5 million screens globally. Billboards, gyms, train stations, you name it. You get to pick the locations, set your budget, anything from £80, and only pay when your ad plays. No agencies, no negotiations, simple. I'm using it for the podcast and for my work with Villanova. Honestly, the process is so easy. If you want to try it, head over to my stand store. There'll be a link in the episode description and you can find out how easy it is. Right, back to the show. If you knew the Industrial Revolution was coming, would you wait to see what happens? Or would you position yourself ahead of the curve? That's exactly where we are right now with AI. But here's the thing most people miss. The opportunity isn't in fighting AI or fearing it. It's in using this moment to finally make the move you've been putting off. Welcome to Get a Shift On. And today it's just me, and I'm breaking down exactly what's happening in the job market and why smart people like you are making moves now and how you can use this shift to your advantage. So let's get stuck in. What's actually happening? AI is already here. ChatGPT, Claude, automation tools. They're not coming. They are already here. Companies are experimenting with them, as am I. Restructuring teams, doing more with less. Middle management roles are being questioned. Admin tasks are being automated first before anything else. But, and this is crucial, it's not about mass job losses tomorrow. It's about that slow shift. Like the Industrial Revolution, it happens overnight. New opportunities emerged alongside disruption. People who adapted early absolutely thrived. Those who waited really struggled. Your career is the same right now. Think about it. The Industrial Revolution didn't kill jobs, it transformed them. Factory workers became machine operators. People became designers. New industries emerged that nobody could have predicted. And the same thing is happening now. We have no idea what's ahead. But we are at that critical moment where you can still choose which side of the shift you want to be on. I'm not here to tell you that AI is going to take your job next week. That's not what this is about. It's about recognizing that when everything around you is changing, that's when you have the best excuse to change as well. There is a hidden opportunity that nobody's talking about. When things are uncertain, people have permission to change. Think about it. If you leave your job during normal times, people ask, why would you leave something so stable? But if you leave during the shift, people say, smart move, they're getting ahead of it. The window is open right now. So let me give you 3 reasons to move now and not later. First, you have a valid reason to explore. You can say, I'm thinking about where my industry is heading, and nobody questions it. It gives you social permission to try new things. It removes that, what will people think? That barrier that keeps us stuck. Secondly, skills are more transferable than ever. Remote work is normalized. COVID helped with that. Side hustles are mainstream. Consulting, coaching, freelancing, these are all acceptable paths. You can test before you leap. You don't have to quit your job on Monday and start building something on the side. We are so lucky that we live in this age. Third, self-employment gives you control. You're not waiting for a company to decide your fate. And we hear that so often. And redundancies are in the news every day. You build the skills that AI can't replace. Relationships, judgment, creativity. And you diversify your income. Multiple clients instead of one employer. That's not just safe. That's a pretty smart move. I know because I lived it. 20 years in healthcare, chasing titles, chasing money. I loved to travel. I had such good fun. I got headhunted to work in Harley Street. And you can't do better than that in the medical field. It looked great on paper. But I spent a lot of time in tears. I had palpitations. I was miserable. After 11 months, I quit. Eventually, from another role, I got made redundant just before COVID. And at that time, I felt like it was the worst thing that could ever happen. And now it was the best thing that happened to me. It forced me to ask, what is it I really want? And that's the question you get to ask yourself right now. Not because you have to, but because you can. And here's what I see happen all the time. People know they're unhappy. They know something needs to change, but they wait. They wait for the right time and they wait for money in the bank. They wait for the kids to be older and they wait for the pension to be ready. They're still waiting 5 years later and they are more stuck than ever. So let's tackle some of the objections that I hear every single week when I speak to clients, prospective clients. Dave, I need the money. I get it. Bills don't stop. Mortgages don't pause. And we are so acutely aware of that more now than ever. But here's what you do. You start while you're employed. Build that side project at night, at weekends. Test the market before you quit. You're not choosing between jobs or a business. You're building an escape. And if you really want it, you're willing to put in that time. I've watched brilliant people stay in jobs that drain them because they can't see a way out. One stays for the pension, even though they're miserable every single day. Another won't move because their partner thinks it's too risky. Another convinces them that they only need to stick it out just 2 more years, then another 2, and then another 2. Don't be that person. Because here's the truth. The financial risk you think you're avoiding by staying, that risk is still there. That company restructure, you could be made redundant at any point. Your industry can shift. That safe option isn't actually as safe as you think it is. But I don't know what to do. Yes, you do. You have 20 years or more of experience. That's your starting point. What do people ask your advice on? What problems have you solved for others already in the workplace? That's what you sell. Consulting, coaching, and fractional work, all viable paths. You don't need a revolutionary business idea. In fact, there are so few out there, but it's what you can do differently. You just need to package it up and use what you already know. But what if it doesn't work? That's one of my favorites. But let me ask you this. What if staying doesn't work? AI is coming either way. Would you rather be in control of the change or reacting to it? Because the people who thrive won't be the ones competing with AI. They'll be the ones using it. You could use it to do some market research. Who needs help with my expertise? Compare analysis. Find gaps in a niche. Use it for content creation. Speed up your marketing. Client solutions. Use AI to deliver better and faster results, all the while having that human interaction. AI isn't your replacement. It's your assistant. And the sooner you start using it, the further ahead you'll be. So those excuses, money, uncertainty, and fear, they're real and I'm not denying them, but they're not reasons to stay stuck. They're problems to solve, and that's very different. And taking action is always key. Okay, so what do you actually do? What can you actually do this week? I'm going to walk you through a process I use with every client. It's the Nova personal exit plan process, and it builds around 7 steps that take you from stuck to moving. I'm not going to make you do all 7 right now, but I'm giving you the first few action items you can take immediately. And again, I'm a big fan of action. Step 1 looks at your value. Take about 20 minutes. Sit down with a notebook or an open page and write some answers. What do I do at work that's valuable to others? What skills do I have that people actually would pay for? And what do colleagues or friends ask my advice on? Don't overthink it, just write them down. You're looking for patterns, the things that come up time and time again, and the things that make you smile and that you have a passion for. Step 2 is about picturing what you really want. And most people skip this step and go straight to what job can I get? But actually that's backwards. When you look at what you want, it makes it so much easier. So for this one, close the laptop, close the books, and just stop and think. And then write down, what does my ideal week look like? Not the work itself, but the structure. Do you want to work from home? Do you want client meetings? Do you want to travel? What sort of flexibility do you want? For me, getting my kids from school is a non-negotiable. How much money do you actually need? Not want, but need. What's the number that covers your bills, your savings, your life? And what does success look like for you in 12 months? And that can be very specific. This step matters because if you don't know where you're going, it's so hard to find the path to get. Step 3 is the big one, and it's looking at affordability and how you build your finances into the plan. You need some breathing room. So look at your finances and answer, how much do I spend each month on the essentials? Not everything, just the essentials. And how much do I have saved? If I cut back on the non-essentials, how long can I survive without a salary? I would suggest aiming for 3 to 6 months. This doesn't mean you need it all before you start. It means you need to know the number you can use to start working towards it. Talk to your employee and ask about going part-time. I wish I had when I first started because it would have been a really sensible option. Could you do 4 days instead of 5? Could you do 3? What does that look like? A lot of bosses would prefer to keep you for some of the time than lose you. So it's worth that ask. Then in step 4, we come to now what? This is where you can test your idea before you quit. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just need a test. Post on LinkedIn about your expertise. Just one post. See what questions people ask. Message 3 people who might need your help. Offer them a free consultation, maybe 30 minutes. Not to sell, just to understand what the problems they have. And let's not forget that every business solves a problem of some sort or another. See what questions you get asked. And that can be the building blocks for your niche. You'll learn more in those conversations than you will in 3 months of planning. Step 5, let's deal with actually what's stopping you. We've already talked about the big objections: money, fear, uncertainty. But now you need to get a bit more specific. What's the one thing holding you back? Not 3 things, the one. Is it, I don't have time? Then find 1 hour this week and sit down and do some of these steps. Is it, I'm scared to fail, which I completely understand, but reframe it. What is the worst that can happen? You haven't quit your job. You can always go back. But if you don't try, you will never know. Maybe it's your partner. Maybe you think they won't support you. But have you had the real conversation? And maybe they are being more affected by it than you think. When we're miserable in our jobs, it affects everybody in our lives. When you name what's stopping you, then you can start to solve it. Then we can look at some of the validation. Before you make any big moves, run your idea past someone you trust, not someone who tell you what you want to hear. And this is where you have to avoid family and close friends because they will project their fears onto you. So ask someone who you really value. Maybe they've started their own business. And ask them, does this make sense for me? What am I missing? Would you pay for this? Their answers will either confirm you're on the right track or show you that maybe some little tweaks and something needs fixing. Finally, step 7, and one of my favorites, action. Start now. And this is where most people stall. They do all the thinking, all the planning, and then they wait for that perfect time. There is no perfect time. I assure you, it doesn't exist. So here's your action for the week. Pick one thing from the list and do it. Don't plan it, just do it. Audit your skills. Write down what success looks like. Post on LinkedIn. Message 3 people. Talk to your partner about your plan and use ChatGPT to research your market. One thing. That's the difference between people who change their lives and people who think about changing their lives. Here's the big picture. An AI isn't the villain. Staying stuck in your job you hate, waiting to see what happens, that's the risk. The Industrial Revolution created more opportunities than it ever destroyed. But the people who thrived were the ones who saw it coming and adapted early. They didn't wait for permission. They didn't wait until it was safe. They moved. And you have that same chance right now. Not in 5 years when everyone's scrambling. not when your company announces the restructuring, the redundancies. Now, while you still have salary, stability, and time to do something about it concurrently with your job, this isn't about running away from AI. It's about running towards the career or the business that you've always wanted and using this moment as your excuse to finally do it. So what's stopping you? If you want help figuring out your next move, I've built loads of free guides and they're all available on my Stand store. And you can take the Business Escape Readiness scorecard that I've created. It's 2 minutes, it's free, and there'll be a link in the description. And that will help decide whether it's time to move or whether it's time to stay. If you're on LinkedIn, message me and tell me your biggest AI career question. I read all of my messages and I will absolutely reply to you. And I love connecting with new people and understanding what makes you tick. I really appreciate you listening and watching the Get a Shift On podcast. I much prefer having guests on. It makes it so much easier. But sometimes it's nice just to talk and be me. Go on now. Go get a shift on.